checking in today on July 20th, 2013 from beautiful Perth, Ontario with two theatre experts here. Hi, nice to meet you again. Please do introduce yourselves and what organization do you actually work for?
I'm Laurel Smith. I'm the artistic producer of the Classic Theatre Festival.
And I'm Matthew Behrens, and I'm the associate producer of the festival.
Wonderful. So what kind of theatre festival is this? Please tell us about the background of your organization.
Sure. Well, we're heading into our fourth season. We're in our fourth season. Oh my gosh, I can actually say that now. In beautiful Heritage Perth, and we were founded in 2010. Matthew and I moved here in 2010 from Toronto, where we'd run a theatre company for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
And we decided we'd love to run a summer theatre company. So we came here, and it's been very successful, and we're thrilled to be here in Perth and partnering with the museum this summer with this amazing exhibit that we'll talk about in just one moment.
Exactly. Now, I had a chance to see one of your productions yesterday. It was great. It was very interesting. Please tell us about the productions you're putting on this year.
Sure. Well, the first show is called The Star-Spangled Girl by Neil Simon, who everyone knows, of course, from The Odd Couple and other famous plays. This was created in 1966, the first production on Broadway, and it essentially charts the journey of two fairly liberal left-wing magazine editors and writers who come up against a beautiful Southern belle who has opinions of her own. And of course they disagree hugely, but in the end, because it is a romantic comedy, they end up resolving their differences and love reigns supreme.
Great, excellent. And I think you have a second production this year?
The second show is called The Marriage Go-Round, and it essentially looks at what would happen if someone like Albert Einstein and Marilyn Monroe got together and had a baby.
Oh my God.
Would that baby inherit the attributes, shall we say, of both?
Exactly.
And now this was something George Bernard Shaw was actually propositioned.
Einstein's looks and Marilyn Monroe's.
Yes, and Bernard Shaw said, with our luck, it would be the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed. And so both of them are from the golden age of Broadway, and the festival is designed to reproduce those shows from that era, from the 1920s to the 1960s. And these are plays that are universal. You can enjoy them as much as if they're translated into Chinese in Beijing or in Australia, Peru. And we see now audiences, whether they're 15 years old or 90 years old, love these plays.
I was sitting beside two 15-year-old boys yesterday. They were laughing their head off.
Oh, so, excellent.
Well, that's
a tough crowd.
Yes, exactly.
And
how do you get them away from the electronic entertainment?
Yeah, exactly. Their parents who are bringing them to the theater.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
That's right. Now, during what months does your theater run, and what days of the week can one actually see shows?
Do you want to answer that one?
We run 7 shows a week, so Wednesday to Saturday at 8 p.m. and we have 3 matinees every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 p.m.
Okay.
And before those matinees, we have a pre-show talk, so that's an opportunity for audience members to learn a bit about the play, the playwright, the background, and the context, so that when they go in, it's a lot easier to follow if some people have difficulty.
I missed that yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's only during the afternoon,
the matinees.
the afternoon shows.
Yeah, that would be great to
and
give
we run all summer long here in Perth, and are hoping eventually to expand the number of shows that we're doing, so that people who are touring in May and June as well as in September can come here as well. Great.
Now, you've got an alliance right now with the museum in Perth, and there is a wonderful exhibit here behind you. If you can give us a little bit of a background of what this is all about, that would be wonderful.
Well, one of the things we love about Perth is Perth's celebration of history. There's always this sense that, we didn't just show up here. We should know our roots and know our history. And behind me are 2 portraits that were painted by Gordon Pinsent, who's a legendary Canadian performer and painter and writer. That's right, those 2. And those are my parents. That's my mother and my father. And the portraits are based on the photographs that you see below. And this was from something called Canadian Players, which was the Stratford Festivals company that used to tour in the wintertime in the 1950s and the 1960s. And also from the Neptune Theatre. Both of my parents were among the founding company members of the Neptune Theatre in Halifax. And as you go across this exhibit, you see pictures of people. So for example, this is a picture of my mother, and this is Dawn Greenhalgh in a play called called Antigone. Dawn Greenhalgh is the mother of someone that became very famous playing Anne of Green Gables. Megan Follows. So we love the fact that we don't just show up out of nowhere. There's this great history and large footsteps that we walk in front of. And as you can see here, we have programs from the 1950s and the 1960s from Canadian players, as well as from the Stratford Festival. And one of the things that really strikes us about this is just the color and the passion and the sense of pageantry.
Beautiful design.
And this is a reminder that theater is something that can be exciting and really nourish the soul. It's not just, do we go bowling or do we go to the theater? Like, you go for a specific purpose. And over here, you'll see where it says now and then. One of the purposes of this exhibit is to go back and visit the first Canadian production of the shows that we do now as the Classic Theatre Festival. So, for example, you see here the Star Spangled Girl was first produced here in 1971. Our second show, The Marriage Go Round, was produced in 1960, and it starred Barbara Chilcott, who's a legendary Canadian performer, as well as Austin Willis, who went on to great fame in the James Bond movie Goldfinger. And we have pictures here of William Shatner when he was at Stratford before he went into space in Star Trek.
Before he became Captain Kirk.
Before he became Captain Kirk. We also have pictures of Christopher Plummer before he danced off with Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music, Michael Learned, Lorne Greene. All of these people come from Canada, and that's part of this very rich and vivid tradition that we're celebrating. But we're also celebrating local Perth landmarks that are part of the theatre history as well. So over here, this is a really interesting section. This is something that was, the Marx Brothers were a very famous touring company, and Perth was their home base. And behind me is the door of something from the Balderson Theatre, which for many years was the largest performance space between Toronto and Montreal. And people from the Marx Brothers to Harry Houdini visited and performed here. And the seats that are in the theatre where we are this summer, the Full Circle Theatre, come from the Balderson Theatre.
Right across the street, sort of.
Yes, exactly. So
now it's a store, Home Hardware.
Now it's a Home Hardware, but the original seats were saved by David and Janice Jacklin, who run the Full Circle Theatre, who have a real strong sense. So some of these pictures, as you can see, the Barn Door Productions is a community theatre group here, and they like to celebrate that history as well.
Wonderful.
And then over here...
Let me actually come back with another clip, because you've got a lot of really interesting information.
Oh, great.
And we want to make sure that we bring it all out to the audience. So you'll fill us in on the wonderful theatre posters on the other side. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem.